known for its informal fashion pop-up stores. Under lockdown level 3, throngs of people are making their way to these stores to do their shopping. We now cross our reporter, I think, who is ready, Nosipho Mncube. Nosipho, thank you very much for joining us. You in the hustle and bustle of Johannesburg. Speak to us.
Yes, SABC, I'm actually coming to you live from De Villiers Street, one of the most popular fashion districts here in Johannesburg CBD, where people are taking advantage of the easing of the regulations and coming to do their shopping. A lot of shop owners here, I'm told, were back here yesterday formally to try and, redeem themselves following the 2-month lockdown. They were not able to sell some of their items. So for people who are not aware of this area in particular and the kind of shopping that takes place here, what you're seeing behind me now is one of the stalls, one of many stalls, in fact, that are along the street, where basically shop owners have clothing that is set up on these tables, and customers come to these tables and pick out individual items that they're interested in purchasing. All these items are sold for different prices. We're not too sure how they determine the prices of each item. Some shoppers rather, go as far as fitting this clothing right here in front of everyone, just to try and make sure that their purchase will be able to be put to good use when they arrive home. I'm told that some people as well that do shop for the items here sell them back home. So wherever they're coming from, most of which are coming from the townships, they'll buy items here for about 60 Rand and then sell them back to their customers back home for about 90 Rand. But let's try and speak to some of the shoppers here, or maybe one of the store owners, and see if they'll be able to speak to us about returning back here and doing selling some of their items, as well as maybe break down how they determine the prices for each of these items. It's quite busy, as you can see. I spoke to the chairperson of the traders organization, who also did indicate to me and was quite honest with me about the fact that it is quite difficult for them to manage social distancing here. People are quite used to shopping in a certain way and being in close proximity with one another, as you're seeing here. So he did say they will be trying to find ways to manage social distancing, but as far as trying to keep and practice good hygiene, as you're seeing now, they're sanitizing some of the customers who are going through some of the clothing here. Let's just try and speak to one of the shop owners. I'm not too sure where they are, and I'm just trying to see one of the store owners. But sir, can you just speak to me quickly about returning here and the reopening of the stalls here that we're seeing on De Villiers Street?
Okay, we're actually observing social distance, and as well we are sanitizing everybody. Before you come in here, we must make sure that you sanitize, and we observe social distance as good as possible. Right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'll also try and speak to a customer here. Siswam, unjani? Ngiyaphila, njengoba uzothenga la, uzothengani, ukhetheleni ukuza la namhlanje?
Safuna ubheka into zabantwana ezabakhe zasebusika, kuyabanda manje ngoba zishibhi la sinamali.
Okay, zishibhi la, ukhetha ukuza la ngoba zishibhi?
Ama-tracksuit abantwana ayatholakala la.
Okay. All right, so you're seeing, Tabiso, people coming here because this is the cheaper alternative for them to do their shopping. Clothing going for as little as 7 Rand. That they're buying here, some quality clothing as well here, some trench coats, some blazers, just in preparation for the cold season. But we will be speaking to more people just on their views on the number of people that do come do their shopping here now that we are in different circumstances having to deal with coronavirus. How are they feeling about the number of people here, as well as the measures that are put in place to try and ensure that social distancing is maintained?
Nosipho, I think the question then I'd like to pose to you, what we're seeing on our television screens right now, Nosipho, is what a lot of South Africans in the past who went through. Most of us, this is where we were clothed by our mothers and grandmothers, and this is an important part of not only the informal economy, but for those who really can't afford to go out and buy from your high-end fashion stores. That's how they dress their families.
Yes. Yes, that is correct, Tabi. So a lot of people, this is where they get all the clothing that they put on their back, the clothing for their children, because some of the clothing here as well is for people as young as newborns and toddlers that they are able to afford and, take back home with them. So we do have to take into consideration that although it is quite hard to manage social distancing here, social distancing practices that we are seeing in the high-end retail stores, people can only afford to do their shopping here, and they will continue to take advantage of the fact that now they are allowed to do so under the level 3 lockdown regulations. They will just come here and get as many items of clothing as they can possibly buy, some of it to resell as well, just to make ends meet for themselves.
Nosipho Mncube, as well as cameraman Herbert Mamela, thank you indeed for coming to us live from De Villiers Street in Johannesburg CBD. An important story that is, and particularly, as you said, Nosipho, with winter approaching, that's where a lot of people will be trying to stock up on the warmer clothes that they need for the months ahead. Thank you very much there for our reporter coming to us live. We're now going to we'll stick with live pictures, in fact, live conversations anyway. South Africa has a long-standing love-hate relationship with alcohol, as we've seen the past couple of days. As lockdown level 3 came into effect Monday, social media has been abuzz with clips of snaking queues outside liquor outlets and some dancing in celebration. A couple of bands we saw. We now explore the relationship that our society has with alcohol. Maurice Smithers, Director of the Southern African Alcohol Policy